Hello, networkers, and welcome back to another episode of Ask the Network Engineer, where I will answer one of your questions. And in this episode, it is going to be speed round number 3. So I have a lot of great, very short questions that you guys have asked, and I want to go ahead and answer them here in speed round number 3. Now, before we get started, there was one main point I forgot to talk about in the last video about SDN Part 2. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't edit or include in that video, and I was like, oh, I forgot something. So I want to first talk about that. So I talked about that the future of the network engineer will involve being a network engineer and some programming experience and starting to do those things now. So you do networking and you're doing programming. You're doing both of them kind of together. Well, why am I saying that? Well, there's a difference between a software developer and a network engineer. A software developer can program things, applications, operating systems, whatever. But they do not know about network technologies and how network technologies communicate together. So that's where a network engineer comes in with programming experience. Because a programmer can tell you about classes, modules, they can create modules, imports, they can pull data from anywhere. But does a programmer know about MPLS and about labeling? Do they know about Get VPN, basically creating tunnelless VPN tunnels, data-to-data encryption, using various protocols and mechanisms? Do they know that? Do they know the structure in terms of the communication for how EIGRP, OSPF, ISIS, how that communicates? What about VRF? There are a lot of networking technologies that are out there. A software developer does not know how that works, the best practices that are involved. That is where the network engineer comes into play. Because as a network engineer, you know about the technologies, you know about the best practices, you know the do's and don'ts. You know about how networks communicate with the various protocols that will be implemented. And with that technology experience and with programming, that allows you to manage and create your own kind of applications or software that is focused on the network or managing network components. So that is basically what a network developer would become. So I forgot to mention that, but that's what I want to say as a continuation from the last video of SDN Part 2. So if you do not know what I'm talking about, watch SDN Part 1 and Part 2 to get an understanding of what I mean for the next generation of a network engineer and what you should start looking or considering now. And the very first question as part of our speed round is by Addie Christian Crosby. And he asked, do you have videos on the Python SDN project? So what Addie is talking about is in a couple of videos I talked about that I have created a particular program using Python programming for an SDN, basically a software-defined networking interface. And this isn't for a client. This is something that I personally created, and it'll be something that I'm not sure how it will be available to the world. But it is a very big project that I've been working on for a lot of months, and it involves basically thousands of lines of code. And what it really is that it is a web interface that can allow you or the customer can input details about their network, about the type of networks, the type of features like firewalls, NAT translations, routing, VPN tunnels, DHCP, things like that. And it will basically go out and manage the entire network by applying all the configuration, best practices, and things like that. So I started to roll this out as a beta for some of my customers. So it's still a work in progress. So that's why there's nothing yet in terms of more about this availability. I don't know what that's going to be like yet, but I am considering this for the public of what that would be. So I'll give more details when that becomes available. But I also don't have any particular videos yet. Now, ever since I talked about the SDN project that I have created, people are looking for, hey, do you have videos training videos on Python for network engineers. So that is something that I am considering and thinking about. So once again, I will provide those details. I will probably post that up on our wish list page on our website. So if you guys are interested in that, cast your vote, and that could be something that can be considered. And the next question is really from two people, but they're kind of asking almost the same thing of how I can respond to it. The first one is by Tonya. I apologize if I mispronounce it. And he says that I see your website and it's good for new network and security engineers. I have one question. Do you have some Blue Coat proxy training videos? So he's looking for that. And another particular user named Deepak Bong, he says about information of where to get the F5 training videos. So for the first question by Tonya, so we do not have any Blue Coat training at this time. So what you can do is that you can go to our wish list page, and I'll post a link right here. And that's where you can go to post your suggestions of what training that we should consider in the future. So the training that I actually do make for you guys, for network engineers, for consultants, is based on what you guys want, not what I want. That's kind of what the point of the wish list page is. So if there's a lot of unique voting interests for a particular technology, like Blue Coat Proxy, for example, then that will be a consideration of what videos I will start planning for and producing for you guys. That's kind of what, that's pretty much what I do. Like for example, there is one particular product that I really like. That's by Fortinet called FortiVoice. It's a good phone system for small and SMB and medium companies, but I'm not getting much interest from the network engineering community. So I'm not gonna make it even though I want to. I want to make videos that you guys actually have interest in doing. So go to our wishlist page and you can post your suggestion about Blue Coat proxy training, and let's see what happens. Now, in terms of the F5 training, we do have F5 training, and all that information is on our website. So go to rodhub.net/training, and there you go to F5, and we have basically the Big IP LTM, the local load balancing training package. You can go there, see a sample video, the topic list, and that will give you all the information that you need. And the next question is from Ajinkya, and he asks that he just completed his CCNA in routing and switching, but his graduation is not yet complete. I guess his college graduation is still a work in progress. He asks, what should I do now? Do I get a job as a network engineer or something in the network engineering field? Or should I graduate first? And I'm from India, so how do I get a job out of India? So there's kind of two questions there. So the first one, should you get a job or should you graduate? Now this one could be a tough one, but this is my recommended answer, or my recommendation. Do both. Finish off the college degree that you have. Finish it, graduate, because if you don't, it may not happen. I see a lot of people, they kind of do college and they stop, they get a job, but they never go back to that. You put in all that work, finish it up. But also, just pursue and getting the experience and finding a job. You can do part-time, you can find ways to make it work. If you need to take a couple of classes, do night classes, do whatever you can, you want to finish your degree. But you also want to find ways of getting a job to gain the experience early on. When you get the experience early on, it's going to definitely help you though. Now, in terms of that college degree helping you for a job, and it depends on the environment though. So I would recommend doing both. Just figure out how your schedule can accommodate that and make it happen, because very likely you may not finish college if you do find a job and progress on that path. I've seen it too many times before. So just keep that consideration. In terms of jobs, and basically from India, I did a particular episode 21, about best locations. Basically means, likely the best kind of jobs. So check out that particular episode. I will post, I'm here in my editing, basically me showing you a walkthrough of how you can look for potential jobs based on where you live. And that's a good starting point for determining the kind of jobs that are out there, the titles, and what you can apply for, and seeing what those requirements are. So check out that particular video for more information. And my next question is from Nathaniel Johnson. And very quickly, this one is in response to part 2 of my Cisco kind of episodes on this channel. I think it's episodes 36, 37. I might be wrong. So his question is basically in regards to that basically Cisco wanted their employees on a leash, basically drinking the Kool-Aid, and that's absolutely correct. So what's your advice to others in a similar predicament? Should we be prepared, or should we save up for preparation for being fired? Okay, your question is very blunt. I like that. So the bottom line is, are you happy? If you're not happy in an environment, then you should definitely prepare to leave. If you're miserable working in a place, you should leave, because it's going to impact your performance, impact your attitude with your management and your colleagues, and they're going to see it. Okay? So that doesn't mean that you're going to get fired. If you see that you are in a similar predicament like what I was in, you kind of slow your roll a little bit. Okay? Don't be too outrageous, and don't speak too much about your opinions or that they're trying to hold you back. Don't do that. Okay? Just trying to slow down, but make preparations gracefully to definitely leave. So for me, when I work in an environment, I will give them 100%. I don't want to leave companies. Now this was probably years ago when I was working for other companies. Now I'm, of course, self-employed. So what you need to figure out is the environment that you are working in and how that could work for either staying there or for moving out. Because for me, I want to be happy with what I'm doing. I want the support of my team and my management team, but I also want to progress. I want to progress in my career and have the company support that. And I will be part of that company. I don't want to leave company. I like to stay where I'm at. But if I feel like that there is something very political, that they're holding me back, that there's restrictions, I pick that up very quickly, and I very gracefully say, okay, this environment is very different. It's not the environment that I would want to invest my time here for longevity, and I'll just make preparations to leave. So I've done that probably a few times, but again, I don't prefer that. I like to stay where I'm at because I know that environment. So for you, if you're not happy and you say, yes, I'm not happy, just keep your opinions to yourself in terms of any kind of politics or stuff that's happening there, and just slowly make an exit. And that's probably the best recommendation I can give to you. And his next question is from Pawan, and he says that he has about 1.5 years of experience in the Network Operations Center, a NOC. Now I've been shifted to cloud computing. How will my networking experience benefit cloud computing? It's going to benefit greatly. Because everything is moving to a cloud computing environment, which is basically just a service provider of some kind of application that's out there. So really what you're doing is more from a support standpoint. And this is the thing about cloud computing that a lot of people get confused. Whether it's cloud, a cloud network, an ISP, a LAN campus, it's just a network that has some kind of a core, a switching core distribution access, or a core and an access layer. There's routers connecting to an internet edge, an internet perimeter. There's security probably on those perimeters. You have other components like maybe connecting to a WAN. That's not different at all. I've done work in cloud computing companies where they provide applications or services to their clients. So they are a cloud provider. But there's nothing really to it. Whether it's a cloud provider or a LAN campus with the users with their desktops and computers. It's nothing really different about it. So how you manage a network for an ISP is going to be the same for a cloud provider. So basically, you're in a great position to really learn, like, okay, this is what a cloud computing environment looks like. Take full advantage of that. Learn about the architecture of how that network is set up. Try to figure out how that network is configured and looking at the config files. Learning from that, building your labs on your own time, your own learning time. Because now you can say, I know how a cloud computing environment works. You can put that on your resume. Oh, that looks really, really, really good. So in your position, you have 1.5 years of experience. So you have great support experience. You probably work with routers and switches. Now you get to figure out how they are positioned in a cloud computing environment. So don't let that opportunity go to waste. You take full advantage of that. You gain more experience, and maybe you'll be promoted to other networking opportunities in that environment. And all of that together on your resume is really good. And the next question, or two questions, are related, and they're from Tonya Brown, how you doing? And from Ion Kirks. And they ask really the same kind of question is, how can they communicate with me personally on a private level for additional questions and advice? So you can definitely do that. Probably the best way is probably through LinkedIn. I don't check LinkedIn very much. Again, I'm pretty busy. But I would definitely be more attentive to what happens on LinkedIn. But that's how you can definitely contact me. You can from there you can chat with me, and I can answer any questions that you guys have. So go to my LinkedIn page. Here's the link, and ask your questions, and we can continue our conversation about what you may have about networking or anything else. And the next question is from Pathpati Naresh. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If not, I apologize. And he says that I am interested in both network engineering and sales. Are there any good jobs available which have the combination of both sales and networking? Well, yes, it is basically a sales engineer. We call it an SE. So Cisco has a lot of SE or sales engineers that mostly do like solution designs for customers and other similar SCs for other consulting companies. They do the same thing. But they also get involved with building out quotes, bill of materials, working in terms of what the pricing is. So that is really a good combination of basically what you're looking for. It's probably more on the engineering side of things, but what you're asking is a sales engineering role that is focused on the networking side. So when you're searching for jobs, sales engineer or a network sales engineer is what you should focus on. And let's do one more question, and this is from Eric Aaron Jr., and he asked that I just got offered a job in a knock for a small company. I know you said that you take calls from customers, but what kind of calls are these? I will be the only person basically running or manning the knock because it is a small company. I understand that. Will I be getting calls from residential customers that is having an outage at home or something else? So a knock, basically, which is a technical support center, it depends on the environment, because some help desk you're working with customers, or you're working with residential customers, for example. So it all depends on what the business is providing. So like there's a knock for Comcast and AT&T. So when your internet goes down, you contact them, and then they bring out their technicians and things like that. So it all depends. Now for the environment that I was working in a knock, it was for an ISP. So that means that customers had their equipment in cages that they managed, and they contacted us to be basically their remote hands to touch equipment in their cage or their racks, depending on what they actually have. So in that particular environment, customer will call in to a actual help desk center. They create a ticket, then they go ahead and assign it to one of the knock engineers, which is us. And then from there, like if I got the ticket or a call, basically doing like a hand down, like we have a ticket for this customer that wants something in their cage. Okay, so I would read the ticket, get the details of what is being asked. And sometimes it doesn't involve calling the customer. It may just involve, can you go ahead and go to our cage and do this to our router or to our server, things like that. I did more on the networking side of things as part of the knock. So I will go ahead, go to the front, get the key for the right customer, open up their cage, and do what is needed though. Or sometimes I will call the customer back and get more information on what they are asking. If they have problems, then I'll try to figure out what is the problem and then, basically doing the troubleshooting. So that's really what a knock really does. It takes calls from a customer or from a actual help desk. Now, for a small environment, that basically means that you're getting the direct calls from customers. And likely, if they're calling a help desk or a knock, they're calling because they need support assistance. Very little that I need help configuring something. Now, that could happen though, but it's more for troubleshooting. So that's kind of thing to kind of keep in mind, that you're probably going to be troubleshooting outages, as you mentioned. That's very, very likely. That means it is a emergency, or there's something's working, but it's not working. It's buggy, latency, slowness. Those things will definitely come up as well. So that means that if you are in a knock environment, then that means your primary responsibility will be with troubleshooting. So I would say invest of how you can troubleshoot the kind of issues that will relate to what the company is doing that you're working for. So if your company makes a particular application, that's what they do for a company, and they sell it to their customers, then you kind of figure out, how do I support this application and other aspects around that. So that's really what a knock is doing. It's all mainly about support. So gaining the experience for that is important, so then you can know how to troubleshoot with the customers when they call in. And we are done with this episode. So thank you very much for all the great questions. And as always, I want to hear from the rest of you guys. So if you have anything in the networking field or being a network engineer that you want to know more about, please post those questions below in the comments, and your question will come up in a future episode on this channel. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel. That means a lot. And check out our practical training videos that we have on our main website at routehub.net. And until next time, keep networking.